moment until it's recording. And we are recording, and just one last time, congratulations to both Nick and Carol on achieving another level in the pathways, and Carol, who has achieved a level as the Advanced Communicator Silver. We are proud of our members and are excited that they are moving along on their paths and their educational achievements. We are recording this as we speak, and I'm turning it over to the phenomenal Toastmaster of the day. Please help me welcome Lois Margolin. All right, thank you, everybody. Yes, we are scheduled for a wonderful, wonderful meeting. We have all of our roles filled, and as you know, a Toastmaster meeting is not made by just one person. It takes a number of people to make sure that we are moving along and all aspects of a speech are being looked at. First, we have our timer. Distinguished Toastmaster David, would you please explain the timing role?
I will be watching the time. I will be signaling the time as the time goes by this evening, particularly for table topics, our prepared speeches, and the evaluations at the end.
Thank you, sir. Our counter, Tricia, would you please explain your role?
Hello, I will be the counter. So I will be paying attention to the words that people use, specifically words like and, well, but I guess I'm not being a good example right now because I'm using some of them, sorry. So those kinds of things, and sounds, repeat words, things like that, and then I will be reporting at the end.
Thank you. Our grammarian, Norman.
Good evening. I'll be watching for misuses of the English language, the numbers of times that the word of day is used, and also if there are exceptional uses, not just misuses, but great usage of the English language. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, sir. Our watcher, Lou Brown.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As watcher, I will be watching everyone for effective use of your video, meaning your placement of your head, the usage of your hands, facial expressions, lighting, all that good stuff, and I'll provide a report at the end of the meeting, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Our chat monitor. I know we have dual chat monitors, but we'll start with John. Would you please explain your role?
Thanks, Madam Toastmaster. As chat monitor, I'll be watching for any resources and links and helping with any questions in the chat. And since Ranjit's helping me tonight, I'll let him do the 1-minute report at the end. Like Nick, I'm on a tenuous setup, so I don't know if I might just disappear for unexplained technical issues at any moment.
All right. Well, thank you for being so diligent to have a backup. Our theme of today is new beginnings. It's a new year. It is our first meeting of the year. Our word of the day is groundbreaking. That's something that's innovative, pioneering, never been done before. I'm not sure if we really are a groundbreaking club, but it feels like it because we are an advanced club and we just step up every time between our speechathons and our speakers. We are just groundbreaking pioneers when it comes to online. Matter of fact, David Carr, are we one of the first online clubs?
One of.
One
Yes.
of. We're close.
we're in the first half dozen or so, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we were definitely pioneering the way, and I'm proud of this club. We do amazing things. We do have 2 speakers today, and I'm hoping both of our speakers will somehow, actually all of our speakers will somehow be able to incorporate the word groundbreaking into their speech, and I know our grammarian Norman will be watching for that. Our first speaker for a 5 to 7 minute speech is Toastmaster Assyl. Assyl is working out of the Presentation Mastery Level 3, Increasing Knowledge, Connect with Storytelling. The title of her speech is Persistence and Patience. Assyl is sharing a moment from her childhood in the Connect with Storytelling project. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Assyl.
Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, I was born in an era that does not exist anymore, an era called the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR. We also call it the Soviet Union. It existed from 1922 till 1991. My hometown is in western Kazakhstan. The climate there is desert, harshly continental. During the year, there is virtually no rainfall, and clean water is a big problem, so there aren't many trees and plants. It has harsh, windy winters and very, very hot summers. At the stores, there are huge lines because of this constant shortage of goods. It was a phenomenon inherent in the Soviet Union. I remember one moment vividly. I was sent to the store to buy something. I came earlier to the store, and the store was closed, but it was already a long line. I stood there for hours. When the store opened, everyone started pushing, pulling each other, screaming, and I was like in some kind of pressing machine. It seemed like no one realized that there were kids there too. It was madness. When I left the store, I felt sick. Do I miss the Soviet Union? Do I miss my hometown? No, I don't miss. But I do miss my mom and dad, who are not in my life anymore. And sometimes I miss little me, who had a rich imagination. On rare rainy days, I could imagine puddles of rainwater becoming oceans. Land ho! I was the captain of a ship. I was a pilot flying a plane over the ocean. When I read books, I imagined having adventures with the characters of the books. It was one of the hottest days of summer. I was wandering the streets, lost in my imagination, when I heard meowing. I ran to that sound and found a tiny little kitten. He looked lost and desperate. I took him and looked around if there was his mom and also his siblings. But no one there. The kitten tried to hide, burrowing into my chest. I looked at him and decided to take him home. My dad looked at us and said that I should get rid of him. I got upset. I went outside and sat in front of the house. I provided shade for the kitten, and he was cradled in my arms. I don't know how long I was sitting, but my mom, when she saw me sitting under the scorching sun, she took me home and she promised me to talk to my dad. The kitten became a member of our family. For a while, he hid in my mom's kimono sleeve. until he got used to our home. He probably sensed that Dad didn't like him, but he followed him everywhere at home and stayed at a respectful distance, but still having him in his view. He was very polite and clever, cutting the distance slowly but discreetly. One day, my dad was laying down on the couch and reading a book, and the cat was sitting on his big stomach. Years later, when the cat disappeared, we could tell that Dad missed him. I have a question for you. Is it possible for a person to change? Well, that little kitten showed me that being persistent and patient, he was able to change my dad's negative feelings into acceptance of him. So, for your New Year resolutions, if you decided to change some of your habits, maybe you should be like this little kitten, persistent and patient. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Assyl. Persistence and patience. I think we can all look forward to having a little more of that. We appreciate it. Great job. We have our second speaker tonight, Toastmaster Krishn. He is working on storytelling. Let's get personal. What matters most? This is indeed a 5 to 7 minute speech. Krishn will be sharing moments of his life and is also working to identify the message for a contest speech. Please help me welcome Krishn.
Mom, what matters the most in life? Is it friends, family, the house we live in? No, Krishn, it's this: money. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the reply my mom gave me as she sat there at the end of each month, every single month of the time we spent together, counting her salary. At that time, 25 years ago, we had this habit of putting our money in bags under our beds or in a cupboard. In her case, it was under the bed. And she would spend the end of every month counting the money. And as I sat there watching her, looking her go through every single piece of paper, listening to the crisp sound of the notes as she went through, I realized at the age of 12 that money was the most important thing. Money was what made life happen. Money was what mattered the most. That is the message I got from my mom, who was the pride and joy of her family, who was the life of every single room she would walk in, who, despite being so happy and merry, never let anyone on the sadness that she had on her shoulder of being a single mom. And I took that message and I led with that through my life. Worked hard, played hard. Worked hard, played hard. Worked hard, played hard. Because my mom told me that's what mattered most. And as I went into adulthood, my mom left this earth and left me alone. She couldn't see the man I'd become. She wasn't witnessing the life I was living. She was not there to meet my wife-to-be, my home minister, Manjusha. Now, Manjusha is the living embodiment of kindness to others. To me, she's the Hitler in my financial situation. Yes, the Hitler. Because as I was growing up, I had become spendthrift. Money was no objection because I was working hard, playing hard, so why not spend it all? But the Home Minister, Manjusha, had other ideas. Krishn, why are you not saving? Krishn, show me your bank account. Krishn, what's this $1,000 on your credit card about? I love you. And that was Manjusha all over. But I realized how wrong I was and how right she was on Christmas Eve, the first year we had gotten married, just a few months after our wedding day. We had gone shopping to this popular shopping mall that had just opened, and Manjusha, who's always the Hitler of her own budget, was just window shopping. And I saw her stopped once, twice, third time, in front of this ladies' clothing shop. And I realized something was on. So I asked her, what do you like? That blue dress. And it was a favorite color, three-piece suit for working women. Favorite color of my home minister. And I told her, let's go and get it. Because for Krishn, money was no objection. But my home minister, who was waiting for her salary to come in, because she knew what was going on. She knew we had just invested in our first plot of land. She knew we were going to have a baby. She knew that the funds were going tight. She told me, let's wait till tomorrow, then we'll come back. Guess what happened when tomorrow came and we came back? The dress was gone. I don't know about you, but it doesn't feel right when the person you love the most cannot get what they want. And it's not something that they want every single day. It's once in 365 days. Once. Then and there. Spendthrift Krishn just got murdered by disciplined Krishn, who just started getting careful about his savings, who was serious about getting a second income stream, who was all about work, work, work. Because that was what mattered the most. And Krishn forgot about play. I got my first daughter. Time went by. My son came. I kept working. And then at some point, my home minister told me, take a break, stop working. You need to spend time with the kids. And I was there seated on the sofa because I was so tired I could do nothing else but watch the soccer game. They're your kids, spend time with them. Doesn't matter to me. I need to work, I need to rest, I need to earn. And my 4-year-old daughter comes up to me with a little pot, tells me, Dad, Just don't work for this weekend. Here's my savings. Let's use this. So I ask you, what matters the most? Is it the money we earn? Is it the luxuries we're going to buy and maybe not spend time on? Is it the food we eat? I believe that what matters most are the people who love us, and we need to love them back. What matters most is what we are doing with them. What matters most is how we love them. Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, I love that speech. Between you and Assyl, it has been amazing. We have seen two groundbreaking speeches. Assyl, between her vocal variety and her background, which was so whimsical, and Krishn with his groundbreaking emotional tug of the heart. So hopefully everybody here was answering the right way when it comes to what matters most. Thank you to both of our speakers for a phenomenal speech. Mr. Timer, can we please have the timing for our speakers?
Yes, both speakers qualified. Krishn had a little bit more time. His was a 6 to 8 minute speech, and he came in at 8:17. Assyl was at 6:31 on a 5 to 7 minute speech.
Wonderful. And you know what? I just realized, Luke Brown, we have you down for the vote counter and the watcher. We did, didn't we? And we totally missed the vote counter part. You're the watcher also?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, I did see a couple of other faces come in. So do I have a volunteer as a vote counter? All right. Well, then, Luke, you are still our vote counter. Please send your votes for your favorite speaker, Assyl or Krishn, to Toastmaster Lou Brown. We are now at the portion of the meeting where some people say it is actually their favorite part of the meeting. Please welcome our table topic master of the day, Toastmaster Tiger. Take it away, Tiger.
Thank you very much, Miss Toastmaster. So we're going to have some fun, some groundbreaking fun. Nick, I don't see you on my Brady Bunch. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm here, Tiger.
Excellent. So Nick, I know you had some groundbreaking New Year's resolutions. We are 1 week into 2020. What resolution have you already messed up?
The one resolution I've messed up is to go for 10,000 steps a day. Now, I didn't realize, I'd forgotten how far 10,000 steps was when it's -1 degree outside. And I realized that, you know, I'll be putting my life into my hands if I go and step onto some sort of frozen patch of water, maybe slip, maybe just, you know, go heels over head, as it were. Therefore, that particular resolution fell by the wayside, if you pardon the pun. However, I do want to tell you about another resolution that I have not thrown in the gutter yet. And that resolution is to say more but speak less. Back to you, Mr. Tabletop Master.
Excellent answer. I appreciate how you turned kind of a negative question into a positive. Very nicely done. Joy, I see that you are in Ecuador. Is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. So Joy, this is a groundbreaking opportunity to share with us your first week of 2020.
The first week of 2020 was rather busy. We had the house full of Airbnb guests, and at the same time I was packing and I was collecting donations to people in Ecuador, because I had promised to take 50 pounds of donations from Arizona to Ecuador. And then I left Arizona the 3rd of January, and everything went wrong. I checked this donation like it's all the way to Quito, but I missed my second flight in Dallas, from Dallas to Miami. And I checked at the Dallas airport whether the luggage would go, and they said it will go all the way to Quito. But when I then came from Miami to Quito, 1 o'clock by night, the luggage was not there. Neither was the driver who was supposed to bring me to the hotel in Quito. And all kinds of things went just wrong. But the funny thing was that I felt safe all the time, and I knew that things would sort out. And then on Friday, I arrived in this little indigenous village up in the mountains in northern Ecuador. And my luggage came a day after, and I just feel home. I have just had a very nice dinner with this indigenous family that speaks a language called Quechua. And I only have learned one word so far, which is urku, and it means a volcano. We are situated next to some volcano, but I don't think it will erupt while I'm here. So it has been a very exciting first week. And this will give me something to write about when I get time to write about. But today I have been checking the closest pickleball, or there is only one pickleball court here. And I have been checking a couple of non-profit places, and I have been studying Spanish. I have got a private teacher and will take Spanish lessons. And yeah, it's so weird. I mean, you never know where you fall down in the world. And maybe I have been here in my previous life, because this feels like a very comfortable place, like a home. People are very nice. I don't understand much what they say, especially here up in the hill, but when I go down to the town, there are a lot of people who speak Spanish. So, exciting week and a lot of material for my book. Back to you, Tiger Topics Master.
Excellent. Excellent. Very, very exciting and interesting first week for you, obviously. Thank you for sharing that. Rolando, could you unmute yourself, sir? So what 2 or 3 groundbreaking goals do you have for 2020?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Masters, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Good evening. Groundbreaking moment that I'm expecting in a couple months is the birth of my first baby. Me and my wife, we're gonna have our first baby. Ooh. And I'm so nervous. I'm scared. I'm excited at the same time. So I'm buying books. I'm talking to friends. What do I do? How do I hold the baby? I mean, am I gonna succeed? I mean, I'm panicking more than my wife. Believe it or not. So I'm looking forward to the year. It's a new beginning for me. A groundbreaking moment, but I'm gonna be up to the challenge. People told me, don't worry, I'm gonna be fine. You're gonna have to learn on the fly. And I think I can do that because I've been doing that all my life as far as learning on the fly. So I'm looking forward to the new year and the new challenges and learn how to best change the diaper. Back to you. Master.
Well, I think there at the end you put the nail on the head. As long as you change diapers, your wife will be very happy with you, I do believe. And if you're not sure how to do that, I'm sure that Jim Barber can give you lessons. Bhushan, did I pronounce that correctly? Bhushan?
Yeah, it's Bhushan.
Bhushan. Thank you, sir. What was a groundbreaking moment for you in 2019?
2019 brought a very interesting challenge for us as a family. We decided out of the blue that we're going to travel to Japan. Japan was a destination that we had never ever thought of, but one of my kids said, "Can we go to Japan for our summer vacation?" And we started researching, and a lot of YouTube research, not a lot of friends that have been to Japan. Remember, I was born and brought up in India, lived there for 21 years. My first overseas trip was to the US, and have been here for about 25 years. Never went to Japan, don't know Japanese, no cultural exposure or anything. But we said, let's go to Japan. So did a lot of research, and we were there for 1 week in June. Exciting, challenging, nerve-wracking, but yet a great perspective of how a culture can be so advanced and yet so rooted in the old and ancient cultures. Juxtapose a shrine, the Buddhist shrine, next to a skyscraper tower. Incredible scenes. You can travel all over Japan with trains. Without any knowledge of English, without any knowledge of Japanese, you can navigate using Google Maps that tell you exactly where to get off, on what part of the train you should board. Beautiful sights, green and very polite people. They end every time they say hello, konnichiwa. I love the whole Japanese culture that we experienced 1 year. Amazing experience. I recommend all of you to travel to Japan one day. It might be a good answer to a Table Topics question next. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics.
Thank you, sir. We are on a roll. This is phenomenal answers so far. Willie, are you there, sir? Willie, are you with us? Can you unmute yourself? No? Okay, so how about Trisha? Can you unmute yourself? My question for you is, what groundbreaking experience have you had during the first week of 2020?
My groundbreaking experience for the first week in 2020 is going to be a little more boring than the previous stories that we just listened to. Sorry about that. I wait all year for this wonderful break we have where the school closes and I don't have to work. So there's about 3 weeks, and that happens over the holidays, and that's what we just completed. However, for the first time in the whole year, I was sick for the first week of January from last Monday through Friday with a very severe head cold and sinus. No fun, no fun. But the good part was, because I didn't have to worry about work, I actually got to nurse myself back to health and get plenty of sleep and get caught up on those things that I don't normally get to do. The other aspect was lots of family time. Even though I missed some events, I still got to travel and I got to spend time with family. So that was very special. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Lou Brown, we're going to find out if you've been paying attention, sir. You may answer any one of the 5 questions that I have previously asked. There you go.
Mr. Topics Master, kudos to you. That is the penultimate table topics question. Fortunately, yes, I have been paying attention. Any good Toastmaster would, right? Groundbreaking moment in 2019. For those of you who are my friends on Facebook, or perhaps a friend of a friend, and one of my friends may have told you, my biggest accomplishment in 2019 was losing 50 pounds. I didn't even realize I had gained 50 pounds until I saw my before and after. I was like, holy cow, how the heck did I get so big? But it was just one of those things where, like many things, it kind of just creeps up on you without you really noticing. And one day I'm like, wow, this is the 4th pair of pants that I had to buy that were a size larger than the one before. And oh my goodness, I went up 3 suit sizes over the past 3 years. It took several years for me to gain the weight. And as a consequence of many different things related to lack of movement and poor dieting, etc., I just hit a point where literally it was an exact line in the sand where my BMI hit 30. My knowledge of obesity and various things like that from my experiences tells me that 30 is more or less the line in the sand between being just overweight and being obese. Of course, it's not so finely delineated like that, but to me, that was the wake-up call when I actually hit the number 30. Took it upon myself. I am part of an organization where we have a weight loss program. So fortunately, I was able to actually be my own client in taking part in that program. Lo and behold, 10 months later, lost the 50 pounds, posted a really cool new profile picture on Facebook. I'm so excited. If you haven't seen it, Tiger, go take a look. I do have my befores on there as well, so maybe you can take a look at that and let me know what you think. One thing I will say though, with all of that, and I'm so happy that I lost all the weight, I now have a little bit of a turkey waddle from some of excess skin that's hanging down. So my goal for 2020 will be to figure out how to lose this without resorting to surgery or anything like that. Back to you, Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, Lou. Congratulations, sir. Losing 50 pounds is a phenomenal achievement. At this point, I am going to turn the meeting back to our esteemed Toastmaster.
Well, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, but I've got news for you. You've got about another 8 minutes to go.
Oh.
That gives you some extra time and some extra voluntold.
Well, you did give me a heads up that I needed to come up with a lot of questions, so I didn't realize that we're going to have to come up with like 12 questions, but that's okay. Moving right along, how about our timer, Mr. David Carr? I am going to deliver to you the same offer I gave Mr. Lou Brown. You may answer any one of my 5 previous questions.
Oh, that's wonderful. It'd be great if I had been paying attention, but let's see. Well, challenges for 2020. Revolutionary challenges? It's actually the same old revolutionary challenge that I've been up against several times, like remembering to start the timer when I'm timing myself, but also remembering to how to run a business. I had a little bit of shelter from the storms of the economy for about 1.5 years. I had a corporate job, and now I'm back out on my own. And I've kind of gone back and forth between being contract, freelance, trying to build up a business, and trying to secure a comfy job. But the comfy jobs are a little bit hard to come by these days. And so I am out there scrapping as a freelancer and trying to make the numbers add up at the end of the month. Trying to cover that healthcare insurance bill. It's probably the biggest impediment, the scariest part of being out on your own, I think. And so I'm trying to figure out what are the things that I did not do as well as I could have the last times I was out. Why did those numbers not add up the way I want them to? And how can I make this time be different? So those are the things that I still have ahead of me for 2020. Mr. Topics Master.
Excellent. Thank you, David. And yes, you were paying attention. How about that? Timing and paying attention. You were singing, dancing at the same time. Kevin, I see you are here. I believe you're a guest. Are you willing to answer a table topics question for us?
Well, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I joined a little bit late. I was having some computer trouble, and this is the first time I've joined this particular group, and so I got that straightened out. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, welcome. Being that this is your first experience with us, why don't you go ahead and use this time to tell us about yourself and how you got here, or why you got here.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. So I have been in Toastmasters for quite some time. I actually joined back in 2002. I joined a club down in Florida called the Oviedo Toastmasters. And my wife and I last year decided we were actually going to relocate from Florida up to Tennessee. So although I have visited a club here a few times, that one wasn't actually always convenient for my work schedule and that type of thing. So I decided to see what the virtual clubs are all about. And I have not been part of a virtual club before. I have never visited one. But for the work that I'm in, I do get asked a lot of times to give presentations, and a lot of times they are virtual presentations like this across WebEx or other platforms. So I thought it would make a lot of sense for me at this point of my career and at this point in my Toastmasters experience to kind of jump in and see what the virtual clubs are all about, and you know, get to know some new faces and voices, and to learn from all of you that may have been doing this for quite some time. So let me stop there and take a breath and see if you have any other comments.
Thank you very much for participating on kind of a late question I threw at you there. Very nicely done, and welcome. Now I'm going to return the meeting back once again to our esteemed Toastmaster, Lois.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Timer, how did our speakers do?
In general, we did well. Joy got a little bit over enthusiastic, and she went a few minutes over. She was at 2:58. All the other table topics participants qualified, and I'll post the times in the chat.
We appreciate it. Once you all see the times, you'll see the names, and go ahead and send your vote to Vote Counter Lou Brown as to who was your favorite table topic master. And he's actually up there dancing. There you go. We have now come to our general evaluator part of the meeting, and let's welcome our last minute general evaluator. Please take it away.
Good evening, everyone. So it's been a great meeting till now, and now we go into the general evaluation part. One of my role models, the founder of Microsoft, Mr. Bill Gates, says, "We all need someone to give us feedback. That's how we improve ourselves, and that's how he has improved his company." This part is about giving feedback and rising by lifting others. We had two groundbreaking speeches today, and we have two groundbreaking evaluators, I believe. For evaluating the first speech given by Toastmaster Assyl, we have distinguished Toastmaster Jim Barber.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, my fellow Toastmasters, our guests and visiting Toastmasters, and of course, especially Toastmaster Assyl Boizhanova. Assyl, you were giving a presentation, a project from Presentation Mastery Level 3, Connect with Storytelling. And you basically, by the description there, you have two challenges. One, to give a story. but 2, to connect with your audience while you're giving a story. Congratulations, you excelled in both of those. Let me tell you why. First of all, your background. As somebody noted in the chat, I don't remember who it was, somebody noted in the chat that your background was great. I'd agree. Your background supported your presentation, but it didn't overpower your presentation. It supported it. We knew what you were talking about, but you remained the star. Very well done. Now, your vocal variety. I was so proud of you for this one. Your vocal variety has been good in the past, but I wanted a little more variety, and you had it tonight. You talked about the very hot summer. And when you were describing the kitten, you went me, me, me. Of course, you did it about 3 octaves higher than I can do. I would injure myself if I tried that, but it was great vocal variety. I love that. Your gestures, you talked about pushing, and you showed pushing and pulling. Land ho when you were a sailor. These things were great. Eye contact. Your eye contact has always been good. In gallery view, it's important to have that, but I switched, and that's the way I was generally watching because I wanted to see how everybody else was responding to your presentation. But it's important also in speaker view, and there it's difficult to have good eye contact with the camera. I switched to that several times, and you were looking right into the camera. That was terrific. This was, in my opinion, a virtually flawless presentation. That does not mean that it can't be improved on. I have a suggestion for you. This wasn't anything that you did wrong, but I think it would make the speech a little more powerful. Towards the end of your presentation, you said, I have a question. Is it possible for a person to change? That's a good question. I would like to have seen you opened your presentation with that question. I have a question. Is it possible for a person to change? Then change gears. Give your story at that point. Talk about Kazakhstan, talk about growing up, talk about the kitten, and we've forgotten the question in the meantime. Then you repeat the question towards the end. At the beginning, I had a question. Is it possible for a person to change? And then you describe the change that the kitten had on your dad. A minor change in the structure of your speech, but the speech itself, the presentation, as I say, was flawless. Assyl, you've given great presentations before. This one was truly groundbreaking. Congratulations, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Evaluator Distinguished Toastmaster Jim Barber. That was an evaluation which again had the sandwich technique. My role model again is another role model is Barber with the positive, and he spoke about the structure which could be improved. That was something that I had to take away from. And coming to Toastmaster Assyl's speech, I would say it was a great speech. People have already mentioned it was an impactful, and also had vocal variety and hand gestures, so it was a good combo. We move to the second combo. The second speech given by Toastmaster Krishn will be evaluated by Toastmaster Andy Byrne.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. It's my pleasure to review my impressions of this groundbreaking speech by Krishn on storytelling. Krishn did many things very well. First, he brought in the audience by asking questions. What matters most to you? And he repeated different questions throughout the story. The only thing that I'll get to in the questions has to do with the cultural one. I wasn't sure when you kept repeating home minister what you were referring to. Is this someone that you were working for? Is this reference to your wife being the domestic controller in your home? And you kept mentioning that, and I wasn't quite sure what you were referring to. That, again, has nothing to do with your speech. It has to do with knowing that this is an international audience, and the reference didn't necessarily land all the time. But you did many, many things well. Again, you had great vocal variety. At times, when you were asking questions, you brought your voice down very low and brought everybody in trying to listen. What were you saying? and other times you were loud. You had great gestures, used your screen well. You asked many questions and brought us back to those questions. What matters most to you? And you talked about money. You talked about how you grew up and then what happened in another set of stories after you got married and how your wife was more disciplined in management of the money and finances than you were. So there was a little bit of variation. You told different stories all along the same thing of what matters most. But in the end, you brought it back and tied everything up together and said, what matters most to you? And you talked about the people in your life. And it was a groundbreaking speech for me because it touched my heart. It was very emotional and it covered many things during the course of your presentation. So we really appreciated your storytelling, your use of vocal variety, your gestures, and your attention to details.
Thank you, Toastmaster Andy Byrne. It was a great story told by Toastmaster Krishn, who also included dialogues, which I liked the most, and his hand gestures, and he had a holistic view of life in general. And we could say the same about Toastmaster Andy Byrne. He also spoke about different stages of the speech, and he broke up the speech into different parts and gave his suggestions and improvements and the positive feedback on Toastmaster Krishn's speech. So 2 path-breaking speeches, 2 groundbreaking evaluations. Now I would like to ask the timer if both the evaluators have qualified.
They have, yes. Jim Barber at 3:05, Andy Byrne at 2:31.
Thank you, timer Toastmaster David Carr. Now, since both the evaluators have qualified, I request all of you over here to join the poll and vote for your best evaluator to our vote counter privately, Toastmaster Louis Brown. Yeah. As you do so, now we have my tag team, the timer, our counter and grammarian. Timer, I believe, has already given his report in the meeting and in the chat box. You can always refer to that. The R counter for today is Toastmaster Trisha. Let me call upon her to give her R counter report.
Hello again. This is the first time I've been an R counter, so I definitely got to count the ones that I use myself. So I'm working on that myself. There were several people speaking tonight, and I found myself getting caught up in listening, being a good listener. Great stories, lots of details, lots of stories. The one thing I noticed the most, if I can just give this background before I give results, is I noticed that the speakers that pretty much everybody, except for maybe me and a few other people that used the words that I was watching, what they did is they had a good use of pausing, and I need to practice that. So for me, something that I tend to do when I use the words that I was looking for is instead of pausing quietly, I use the words that we're not supposed to use. And I noticed that there were some speakers that did a great job with that. So practice quiet instead of having to say a noise. I guess I need to remind myself of that. So there were basically only 3 people that I counted that had any ahs or ums. I had a few. And there were, I don't know if I'm supposed to be telling the names of the people that I counted. So maybe somebody can help me with that. So there were a few other people that did have them. Am I supposed to say like specifically? How specific am I supposed to get with this? Can somebody help me with that?
Go for it.
Yes? Okay. It's good feedback, right? It was, let's see, Joy had, everybody did a great job. So I like to stick with positives. Joy just had a couple of the words, more of the ahs. I counted ahs and ums in terms of the words that we want to avoid. Kevin used a few more of them, the ah, the ums, the so, ands. and me. There's 3. So that's my report, and I'll try to practice being a good example of that myself. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much for the extensive evaluation of the counter report. And now we have the grammarian for today, Toastmaster Norman Doe.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. This is a challenge to listen carefully to what you're doing and not what you're saying. Overall, we did a very, very good job. Toastmaster Assyl was excellent. I did note a couple of things. One of them was one of the hottest day of the summer. There was not the agreement between one of day, singular, one of implies days. But other than that, an excellent job. For Toastmaster Krishn, I liked his use of words in unusual ways. I, like Andy, was a little surprised by home minister. Then I realized that home minister was also at one time called the Hitler. He was using the polity of his home and not the polity of Mauritius when he was talking about these positions. But I like that use. And he also talked about spendthrift Krishn was murdered. It was created a real visual picture of a real radical change as he moved to a groundbreaking new move of Krishn. The word the word of the day was used an awful lot by our Tiger, who was our table topics master. I counted at least 5 times from him. Rolando used it a couple times. Our general evaluator used it a number of times. Andy used it at least twice. I may have missed others, but it was used an awful lot, and you did an excellent job. Overall, I think this was a very, very good time. It's obvious that this is an advanced club by the way you handle the grammar. Mr. General Evaluator?
Thank you so much, grammarian Toastmaster Norman Doe. Now we have the watcher Toastmaster Louis Brown.
Thank you, Mr. GE. This was a groundbreaking meeting. In my opinion, I did not notice any distracting gestures on the part of anyone, with possibly the exception of myself. I am a very gestury sort of person. Overall, I noticed everyone was very engaged with the speakers. I saw everyone's eyes and ears perked up when our speakers are speaking. Excellent job there. Overall, the presentation of each of us too was very nice. We've come a long way since day one in terms of our video presentations. Great job, everyone. Effective muting of your videos when they were not necessary. Couple of points I'd like to add. Framing of faces. Make sure your face isn't down near the corner or down low so much that your writing gets covered, your face is covered by your title and so forth. Lighting is also a bit of a challenge, probably because many of us have laptops that are just not in the most ideal locations where we live. I appear a little dark myself. Some people are also kind of whitewashed. Something that we might want to think about as we move forward. That is my report, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, watcher Toastmaster Lou Brown. Now we have our chat monitor. We have 2 chat monitors today, but for giving the report, we call one among them Toastmaster Ranjit.
Hello, everybody. Today I am your assistant chat monitor. It's a very high-profile position, and I'm pleased to take it. A few things. We used the chat log today to keep track of our roles. The timer did a great job posting all the times of the speeches. We used private chats for the vote gathering and recounting. And I would like to announce today's Chatty Award, which goes to the most trending topic in the chat window. Today's Chatty Award goes to Rolando's baby. Let's hear it for Rolando's baby. That concludes my assistant chat monitor report. John, the chat monitor, if you have anything to add, you can please weigh in.
Thank you so much, chat monitors, Toastmaster Ranjit and DTM John Quick. That was a great initiative, the Chatty Award. And congrats to the baby. And congrats to Toastmaster Orlando as well. Now giving my report in a couple of minutes, I would say today we had, as I said before, two great speeches, two impactful speeches, which spoke about issues that had to be spoken about, patience, persistence, and about the things that we want in life. These are the things that I want to hear as a student at this beginning of the year. I believe each one of you could resonate with that as well. And then we had two evaluations in their own ways. Toastmaster Andy and Toastmaster Jim took it to the next level. Kudos to that. I hope you're all done with your voting for the best evaluators and best speakers. Then coming to the table topics, we had a great set of topics. We had 9 topics today, and we had Toastmaster Tiger taking care of even when Toastmaster Lewis told about additional topics, Toastmaster Tiger was unfluttered, and he always had extra topics in his kitty. Kudos to that. And the topics were related to the theme, new beginnings, and each of us spoke on our new resolutions, on our trips that we took, on the new resolutions that we wanted to have, but we wanted to keep up, but we couldn't. So it was a wide array of topics. And for me, I personally liked the Chatty Awards baby, Toastmaster Rolando's baby. That topic was emotionally connectable. And a great set of topics. We started on time. I'm pretty sure if I end in 1 minute, we are going to end the meeting on time as well. I'm happy to have had this role, had to have been part of this club in this meeting. And personal thanks to Toastmaster Lewis for guiding me through the process of being a GE. Over to our Toastmaster of the Day and the president of the club, Toastmaster Lewis.
Thank you, sir. Great job. I love this meeting, but unfortunately it is getting close to the end. But I bet if we turn to Mr. John Quick, our Vice President of Education, John's going to have an educational moment. Am I right, John?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Well, welcome back to the new year, everyone. Let's get signing up for some roles. I understand we're searching for a Toastmaster for next week. And I'm taking on 2 weeks from now. We'll have a Chinese New Year theme as our meeting. So hopefully someone's ready to step up for next week. As always, if you've got a new plan for this year and you're looking for speaking slots, and you want me to help you get you in there and plan it out, go ahead, just write to me and let me know, and I can help get you on the agenda. Otherwise, keep looking for those backup speaker slots. And if you're not speaking, take any other role that's available, because we all work together to make these meetings work. Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Liu, it is that time. Can we please hear our winners of the day?
Certainly, Madam Toastmaster of the evening, Madam President. Our best evaluator goes to Toastmaster Jim Barber. Woohoo! Our best speaker goes to Toastmaster Assyl. Woohoo! Now I will add, those two races were very tight. Now when it came to table topics, one person just rose well above the rest of us. That is the father-to-be, Toastmaster Rolando Goldman. Woo! Congratulations, Rolando.
Thank you, sir. That concludes my role as your Toastmaster of the Day, and I will bring it in as president. We do need that Toastmaster of the Day for next week. Do we have any volunteers? I'm looking for someone who's going to say, yes, this is what I have been longing to do my entire life. Who would that person be? See, there's what happens. Then we just voluntold you. Oh, Tiger, I see you clapping your hands. Will you be our Toastmaster of the Day next week? Thank you.
Yeah, I've done it a few times lately, but I'd be more than happy to take another shot at it.
All right. Thank you so much. We will take you up on that one. We are very fortunate that on February 24th, Akim Boak will be speaking to our club, and the title of his speech is Gestures for Connection, a New Look, Plus, he will have some question and answers regarding that. He was recommended to us by Elaine. She has heard him before. I believe he's written some books on that, and he seems, let's see if I can find something on that really fast for us. If not, that's okay. But yes, he seems like he is definitely going to be an asset to us. And I think either David or John will be modifying the agenda to accommodate Akim.
Yeah,
Rolanda,
I was just.
congratulations, March. Wow, it's not that far away. You'll do great. And congratulations on winning. How could you not with that kind of a topic? It was just meant for you.
Thank you very much.
My older daughter was born on St. Patrick's Day, so yay, but congratulations. Ranji, I have to say, I love the Chatty Award. I think we should just adopt that. That was so cute. Let's see, what else do I have on here? For our guests, we'd like to hear what you thought of our meeting. Will you come back? Will you join? Let's start with Willie. Willie, what did you think? Willie, can you hear us? All right, well, we'll try and come back to Willie afterwards. Ranjay, what did you think?
Me? Are you talking to me? Hey, that was a blast. It was a blast. I loved it. I've participated in a few online meetings. This was super fun. I'm a college teacher, and I teach Monday nights starting next week, so I can't really join at this time. But I loved being here, and if I get a Monday night off, I will contact you and hopefully be back as a guest. So thank you all for having me.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. David, evidently you had something that you were going to say and I cut you off. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was a question actually about changing the agenda for the guest speaker. Should we still reserve maybe a little bit of time for table topics at the end? Or? Okay.
Yes, let's give it about 8 to 10 minutes for table topics. I think we can always kind of put some stuff in there.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. And Kevin, our other guest, our third guest, is Kevin still? There he is. Kevin, what did you think of the meeting?
Yeah, still here. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I only caught about the last 30 minutes of your meeting here, but I did enjoy the pieces that I've seen. This was my first virtual meeting, as I mentioned earlier on, and I love how you guys have, you know, a variety of images behind you and around you and that kind of thing. So hope to attend again. Not next week, I won't be able to, but the following week, hopefully, and start to learn how you guys are working this magic here with these video presentations. It looks really cool.
Well, we're glad you enjoyed and we're happy to see you again. We have had a couple of people that we've missed for a while. Patty, welcome back. Is everything how you remember?
Yes, it is. It was very fun. I have been under the weather. I got food poisoning and then dehydrated and then low potassium. So it's been a journey. So I forced myself to come tonight, but still not feeling very well. That's why I didn't take on any roles, but hopefully I'll be back doing a role on next week.
Wonderful. I hope to see you back as one of the Toastmasters of the day. And Bhushan, we haven't seen you for a while, so how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. In fact, I'm glad you gave me a chance to speak. Because of my involvement and participation here in the Zoom session, I was able to conduct a meeting with a bunch of my classmates across the globe and conduct this session just like this one. Very difficult to do. I must admit that without this group giving me the confidence, I would not have been able to do it. So I really appreciate the camaraderie that is shown here. Some of you new guests or new members, you don't realize how tricky this business is of being able to have a background, an image, and being able to speak to the camera. There's a lot of small things that you learn over time as you participate in these meetings. And you have to try one or two things at a time. And I was able to put all of this to use in a very high pressure setting. Some of my classmates from 25 years ago, now some of them are CEOs and they've gone places. Now I was able to bring them on a screen like this and get them together to give presentations and listen and be nice on the chat. You know, all these things take discipline. The chat monitor.
Well,
So
thank you. Congratulations. I hope to see you as a Toastmaster of the Day one day out there.
One of
I
these
haven't
days.
told you, but we'll get you there. And Norman, it has been a while for you also, so we have less than a minute or so. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I was back last week. I took a couple classes last semester and it kicked my rear end. Thank God they're over, so I'm back.
Okay, so that pretty much concludes this particular meeting, our 1 minute out. And Bhushan will only stay about 10 minutes afterwards. If anybody has seen in the chat, Bhushan has specific questions about green screen, and though I can give my personal ideas of how I'm doing that, I'm hoping we're going to have some of our techies stay afterwards. Kevin, I'm glad that you enjoyed, and 17 years and first time back. Wow, that's impressive too. I'm officially closing this meeting. If anybody needs to leave, you are most welcome. Otherwise, we're gonna talk a little techie stuff and answer any other questions you might have regarding an online club. David or John, would either